I have 5 tips to help you manage your dynasty teams during the NFL regular season. So tip number 1, be aggressive on the waiver wire. Most dynasty leagues are typically 25-man rosters or even deeper, so that usually leaves the waiver wire pretty scarce throughout the year. However, there are always a couple of players every season that can be found on dynasty waiver wires and still be extremely valuable to any roster. I mean, last year we had guys like Elijah Mitchell, Cordero Patterson, even Hunter Renfrow were all widely available in a lot of leagues to start the season last year. The year prior in 2020, it was Mike Davis, Myles Gaskin, and Darnell Mooney. It happens every year, and 2022 is not going to be any different. Personally, I'm extremely aggressive on waivers in the first couple of weeks. I'm not afraid to just drop 80% or more of my fab to win a guy that I think can be that difference maker off waivers. I've even dropped all of my fab on one guy before just to ensure that I won him, like I did back in 2020, picking up Mike Davis in my main league after Christian McCaffrey went down. And that one move gave me a back-end RB1 for almost the entire season, and all I paid for him was fab. That's the power of the waiver wire to help buy you wins during the week and potentially help win you a championship. You'll swing and miss on guys for sure, but that only means that you just wasted fab that you'll just get back next year. You're not using vital rookie picks or other players that are more valuable on your roster. It's just fab. I post a weekly Dynasty waiver wire video on this channel every single week during the season, so be sure to subscribe if you're not for those videos. Tip number 2 is roster a bunch of backup running backs. There is nothing that aggravates me more in Dynasty than seeing a roster with 10 or more wide receivers on it with guys like Jalen Reagor, Dyami Brown, Amari Rodgers. Like, when are you ever going to play those guys in your starting lineup? If you're not, then cut them. Why are they on your roster? Instead of doing all that, roster backup running backs that have a chance for opportunity if the starter goes down. I'm not talking even the popular guys like Tony Pollard and Alexander Mattison. I'm talking about digging deeper. Jamal Williams, Matt Breida, Jeff Wilson, Mark Ingram, guys that no one in your league really cares about, but could be super valuable for even just 1 week out of the year. And I'm not worried about the whole only roster your handcuffs or only roster other people's handcuffs. I don't care about any of that. This is Dynasty. The benches are deep, so that means that you can roster as many of these guys as you possibly can. All it takes is one injury to Alvin Kamara, and Mark Ingram is a minimum RB2 for as many weeks as Kamara's out. That's the same for Jamal Williams, Jeff Wilson, Dearness Johnson, Zamir White, Eno Benjamin, Zach Moss even, and tons of other backups out there right now. One side tip on this though is don't be afraid to sell those guys in season when they do get their opportunity. This one is honestly more up to you in the moment though, but it's a fact that the most valuable these handcuffs will ever be is when they actually get starter opportunity, ideally for multiple weeks of the season. That's the time where you can sell them for possibly a late second to a contender that really needs a spot starter, and then no other time during the entire year are you going to get that price for, say, Jeff Wilson. I get that maybe you're the contender who really needs a spot starter, so you can absolutely keep them and use them in your starting lineup if you need to. I've done that plenty of times. But if you're a rebuilding team who just happen to have Deonta Foreman, or you won that one priority guy off the waiver wire in week 1 or week 2, and you have the chance to get peak value for them, sell them. Hey guys, real quick, I just wanted to let y'all know that this episode is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest way to play fantasy sports. And if you've never played Underdog before, now is the perfect time to try it out. And you can sign up using the code DLF, deposit a minimum of $10, and then you can start playing daily fantasy, pick'em player props, or season-long best ball, including their world-famous Best Ball Mania 3 with $10 million in prizes, including $2 million to the winner. Underdog will also fully match your deposit up to $100, so that minimum $10 deposit now turns into $20. And on top of all that, new Underdog users will get a free year of DLF Premium subscription with that $10 deposit. And if you're already a DLF Premium subscriber, no problem. We'll just add another year to your existing subscription. All you got to do is click the link in the description below and sign up, or visit underdogfantasy.com, use the promo code DLF, and then deposit that minimum $10, and you got yourself a free year of DLF Premium and some money to actually play some really cool fantasy sports to win yourself even more money and then continue on playing. But for now, let's get you back to this awesome DLF video. Tip number 3 is know which direction your league mates are heading in. And this helps tremendously when you are trying to make trades all year round, but more specifically during the NFL season. Every team in your league generally should be moving in one of two directions. They're either contending or they're rebuilding. Now, there are different levels of those directions, especially when it comes to rebuilding, but usually the contenders are willing to take on a bit of age in order to gain production, and the rebuilders want to offload age and production in favor of future value. Being able to identify which teams are on which path can greatly improve the quality of trade offers that you send and the ability to get deals done in season. The best trades are those where both teams come away feeling like they won, and this usually happens when a contending team trades with a rebuilding team at some point during the season. You might see deals done like Adam Thielen for a future second, or Tom Brady for Mac Jones, or Travis Kelce for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Deals like those get done all the time during the season that may not normally get done during the offseason. Don't be that contender that offers the 1-in-5 team Michael Thomas, because why would they want a 30-year-old wide receiver on their team if they're building for the future? And then vice versa, a contender probably doesn't want to move a future first for that rookie that hasn't done anything yet, but rather a player that can actually help them win now in this season. So identify which direction your league mates are heading in throughout the year and craft trades that can improve both of your rosters simultaneously. Tip number 4 is pay attention to redraft and DFS advice throughout the year. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to play redraft or DFS during the season, but you should at least be attentive to the advice being given every week, specifically when it comes to start-sit decisions. I consider this honestly as part of just being an active Dynasty manager during the year, where you follow along every week in order to maximize your roster's points scored and win your matchup. There are a lot of fantastic redraft sites and analysts out there that are extremely invested into every week's slate of NFL games and can be more tuned in to making smarter start-sit decisions that you might not be able to be. The same applies for DFS sites and analysts who can be very skilled at finding those random weekly explosions from certain players that, should you roster that specific player, maybe you consider playing them in your matchup. I've seen so many really strong Dynasty teams just crumble from making poor start-sit decisions, and I've also seen the opposite, where a middling team made a lot of right decisions every single week and it vaulted them to winning the championship that season. So don't be that guy who just sets and forgets his lineup every single Wednesday, but follow along actively every single day and be tuned into what the redraft and DFS community are saying about players each and every week. And lastly, tip number 5, this is extremely important. Be patient with rookies. It seems like every year for the past couple of years, we've had some insane rookie production. And while it's becoming more and more normal, it's usually not that normal. Rookies just take time to adjust to the NFL. It's as simple as that. It's a different game than college. Players are bigger, faster, smarter, and it can be hard for a 21-year-old to come in and just dominate the way they did in college. In fact, most rookies take at least half of their rookie season to really just see the field consistently, then maybe another couple weeks before they start producing consistently. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, those guys are not the norm. A.J. Brown in his rookie season is a lot more of the norm, and A.J. Brown failed to even play 50% of snaps until week 5, then had his first 100 air yard game in week 9, and then from week 12 on had 4 top 10 fantasy finishes. The same happened with DeAndre Swift, who took 6 weeks before he saw double-digit carries, then another month before he played over 50% of snaps in back-to-back games. But now look at where DeAndre Swift is right now in terms of production and dynasty value. Give these guys some time to learn their offenses, get used to the playing speed in the NFL, and just adjust to the game. Don't be the guy who sold Jonathan Taylor in week 11 of their rookie season because he had only 2 games with only 14 carries up to that point. Yeah, that was me. I did that one. Not fun. There is something to be said about waiting too long on a rookie, but most of the times when rookies bust, we've seen multiple red flags and had multiple opportunities to cut bait on that player. But when you're freaking out that your first round rookie pick hasn't done much of anything and it's not even Thanksgiving yet, what are you doing? Just calm down, take a breath, and just be a little bit patient with the rookies in year 1. Okay, I do have one bonus tip for you in season that I believe is super important to understand. But in order to hear it, you got to click on this video right up here.